The following program, though incredibly nerdy, is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised, and you probably shouldn't watch if you're an overly sensitive pussy.
Don't you worry, Nerd Avengers. Don't you worry. It's gonna be all right. We're gonna get through it together. And also, I am actually playing the piano right now, so it's hard to... Like, it's just so somber, you know what I mean? I gotta get in the right vibration to be able to play the piano like this. And so it's affecting my mood. Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's the price you pay for being so in touch with the music as you play it. What up? Hey, you made it to Friday! Chat, you made it! You made it to Friday! So congratulations on that. We do have a lot of stuff to get into today. We are going to talk about potential problems with Avengers Doomsday as reported by one John Campea. And I also want to give a little insight myself on Doomsday. And really, I want to talk about... my worst fear for this movie, because look, I we'll get into it more when we actually do like the segment and when I discuss it, but obviously there's so much discussion surrounding Doomsday, and I think a lot of people are looking at this movie to either do really well or do really bad, or signal the end or signal a new beginning. There's so many expectations. There's so much going on with this film. It's in a unique position. And so I can understand all the conversation about it and all the rigmarole, as it were. I want to add my take to that because, believe it or not, even though I am really optimistic about the movie, and I actually do think Campea, like we'll talk about Campea's thing, but it's like it's kind of a nothing burger. But having said that, there are a couple of ways that I think this movie could go a really bad way for me personally. And so I thought it would be interesting to talk about like my worst fear with Avengers Doomsday. And, maybe hear what your guys' worst fear is too. Like there's probably stuff that you guys are like, I hope they don't do this, or, oh man, if they do that, that is what it is to be a big old nerd and to nerd out about this stuff. So we'll get into that. That's going to be a big topic. I want to talk about no DCU presentation at Hall H for Comic-Con later this month. That feels bad. That doesn't feel like a good thing. I know HBO is having their own presentation where lanterns will be showcased, but that is not the same thing as DC Studios proper coming out and utilizing the Comic-Con platform to build hype and get people excited about the future. I mean, it's the last Comic-Con before the release of the next movie. This universe is on somewhat shaky ground. it seems like the perfect opportunity, a no-brainer to go in there and get hyped and get fans excited about what's going on. I think it's wild, bro. I truly think it's kind of wild that they're not going. So I want to touch on that for a little bit, because also Gunn gave a reason why. Did you guys see this? No, Marvel's doing a Hall H, baby bird. Actually, they're going big for Hall H, and it's 2 weeks away, guys. Can you believe it? 2 weeks away. So not this Saturday, not the following Saturday, but then the Saturday after that is Hall H, baby. The Nerdvengers are gonna be streaming. Oh shit, Saturday evening, clear your calendars. Come one, come all. Come short, come tall. I'm excited. I'm excited. But anyway, so we'll talk about DC not doing all of that, which is like okay. I want to talk about the Rockpocalypse, guys. Did you see the reports about the Rockpocalypse? Can I get an amen? Don't we know that the Rockpocalypse is the way to go, baby? I'm so excited that it looks like the Rockpocalypse might be real. It's all coming up Millhouse, so I want to gush about it. I want to remind you why the Rock as Apocalypse. Yeah. I already see people saying that wouldn't be good. How about this? Are you building a commander deck? I am building a commander deck. How'd you know? I'm building the Doctor Doom commander deck. Because in a couple of weekends, I'm having actually a guys weekend. And we're going to play some Commander. And I'm going to whoop my buddy's ass with this Doctor Doom. Believe that. Wow, I'm so ADD. Okay, anyway, the Rockpocalypse. How about this? Throw a 1 into the chat if you are not feeling the Rock as Apocalypse. Go ahead, let it out of your system. You know, this is a community where it's a safe space for everybody here, and you know, we love to disagree. We have some passion disagreements here and there, so it's, you know, feel free to let it out. All right, I'm gonna need all those people banned. It was a trick. You're all getting banned. This is a Josh Tater ship, and it must be the Rockpocalypse. We must weed out all of the anti-Rockpocalypse people from the chat. Get them out of here. Okay, so we'll talk about the Rockpocalypse. Look, it looks like I've got some selling to do with regards to the Rockpocalypse, but I'm literally a professional bullshitter. I'm a professional yapper and bullshit. I get up here, I yap about shit. You know, so don't worry. I will sell you on the Rockpocalypse. By the end of this stream, you are going to be building Rockpocalypse shirts and Legos and memes. What if Rock is Guatemalan supplement free? I mean, then I guess we'd call him the Stone or the Pebble, you know what I mean? But I think what you're saying is, like, what if he got off the juice? Would you still want him as Apocalypse? Oh yeah, bro. Yeah. Yeah, I would. Anyway, please don't ban me, but The Rock is the worst choice for Apocalypse. What? How is he the worst? Oh, wow. Well, I guess I didn't realize we were going to be fighting like that today on a Friday. I should have known. Why do you think he's the worst choice? You guys don't see the vision? Do I have to go right into my Rock segment right now? Is it Rockpocalypse from the top rope within 5 minutes of the stream? Do you smell what Apocalypse is cooking? Indeed, I do. And it's a 5-star meal. Please ban Zach, says Rossi. Okay, no problem, will do. There's no more Rock. He's just Dwayne now. Does he really just call himself Dwayne? Am I missing something here? Nerds engage with 5 gifted memberships. Holy crap, that's very generous. Hey, speaking of memberships, tomorrow morning at 11, guys, we're going to do another deep dive with the members. So if you were just gifted a membership, you will have access to that stream tomorrow. And technically, you probably have access to all the deep dive we've done so far. We're getting very excited for Doomsday, and we're rewatching all the Marvel catalog. Tomorrow, we're going to do Avengers, dude. I'm really excited. We've done most of Phase 1, all the solo movies. Now we're going to do Avengers for the first time. I think that one's going to be juicy, man. So what's going to happen is I'm going to watch the movie again tonight, take a bunch of notes, you know, try to bring up some cool things. And then tomorrow we'll just kind of go through it starting at 11. They're really fun streams, actually. I enjoy them. I thought the last one we did with Thor was great. So yeah, we'll do Avengers tomorrow. Look forward to that. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 11. Man, you guys got me really stuck on this apocalypse thing. That's okay. We'll argue about it. Then I'd like to talk about the Doomsday problems. For real. What it can't be here. Because he does have conflicting reports here. You know what I mean? So let's throw a can't be a bone. And let's assume that he's telling the truth. And that he kind of has one source saying they can't find it in the edit. One source saying that's not what I heard. And then, again, I'll fill out what I've heard, and I'll tell you about my worst fear with regards to Doomsday. Hey, does anybody know what my worst fear for Doomsday might be? Does anybody, did I miss some supers? I'm sorry, I'll go back. Can anybody guess what my personal worst fear for Avengers Doomsday would be? I'm curious. The Heather Apocalypse? That'd be pretty bad, yeah. That it's meh? No. Heather Doom? Never mind, I take the question back. You know what I mean? It's all good. Soda Pop Walter says, I'd rather have John Cena. As Apocalypse? What about John Cena as Cable? Millie Alcock as Apocalypse? Now you're thinking like James Gunn. Yeah, not even he thinks that poorly. That's a terrible idea. Can't see him. That's funny. Well done. All right, two other smaller ones. I mean, look, I'm gonna yap, so they'll be longer segments. I want to talk about how Reed Richards' plan just got confirmed. I don't know if you guys saw this, but they have a Shanghai thing they're doing, some kind of Comic-Cons, and dude, they have some really cool shit they set up there. They have Doctor Doom's throne, the X Mansion. They have the Baxter Building and Reed Richards' lab. And upon the chalkboard is basically a confirmation about Reed Richards' plan, including the cannons. Like he drew some massive cannons on the chalkboard. Next last topic today will be Nova, the Nova show. Some updates about Nova, and I'm actually excited about it. It has to do with Michael Waldron and some interesting possibilities when it comes to Marvel. So other than that, guys, that's kind of what's on the agenda for today. A lot of fun topics. We'll have a good time in here. Let me catch up on some supers and also anything else going on? Any other questions, comments, concerns? Anything else you guys want to ask me about before we kind of get cooking into our topics here? Zach, thank you so much for another gifted membership. Same to you, Prez. I really appreciate those gifted memberships, guys. Thank you. Joshua Campbell Bluegrass with a $10 holla says, I started listening to your Warhammer Explained channel, and it's actually kind of interesting. I'll probably never afford physical games, but I might get into TTS and watch Cavill stuff. Hey, whoa, how about that? How about that, Josh? All the way from you coming in to troll me on Wednesday nights and break my heart when all I wanted was an hour with the Warhammer folks, to now all of a sudden you're Warhammer curious. How about that? That's a grimdark, a good ending in the grimdark universe if I've ever heard of it. No, seriously, that's cool, man. Appreciate the love. The official Milo says, starting my 27th birthday with a stream. Thanks, Josh. Yo, happy birthday to you, brother. Man, 27 years old. How you feeling? Man, I remember those late 20s years. were so odd because it almost just felt like you're just staring at 30 the whole time. You know what I mean? It's just like you're like in a staring contest with 30. I'm not trying to make your 27th birthday terrible right away. But now I have, and I can't take it back, so. Happy birthday! Zach Deck says, Chris Evans just got announced for Boston Fan Expo, selling my soul to go. You know, I actually saw that, and I actually thought about going to meet him, dude. Like, I'd like to go meet him. I wonder if he'd have any idea who I am. What's up? Probably not. You know what I mean? Probably not. And certainly if he did any other kind of work other than Marvel work, there would be a 0% chance that he knew who I was. But as it so happens, I have actually made some pretty popular Marvel videos in the past. I've also leaked a lot of shit, and I know some of them over there know me and they don't like me. So, like, I don't know. Like, I kind of wonder sometimes, like, if I met these people and, like, stood in line and then, like, took the picture, would he whisper something like, fuck you for spoiling Hydra Cap, den of nerds? And I'd be like, ah! What? He said it! He whispered it, so you didn't hear it, but he said it. Maybe that's just some crazy fantasy that I have. Joshua says, worst fear, the Doom Tony likeness is a nothing burger. Honestly, that's not even my worst fear. Like, if that, because I actually thought about that too. If they don't go in that direction, or, you know, maybe I'm off, I'm not against that because the theory and the prediction is so crazy. And yeah, like, a lot of people have been hating on it. You know, so frankly, Marvel might have seen how much people hated it when I brought it out, which is actually not fair because I'm a bad messenger because of the smugness. But it's possible they saw it and they were like, holy shit, people hate this. Maybe we shouldn't do this. You know, I don't know. That'd be kind of funny. But I've thought about it, and even if they went away from it, that's not going to really destroy the movie for me. It would be kind of a bummer because I kind of like my theory, obviously, but no, that's not it. Good guess, though. Rossi, thanks for the rose. What if Guatemala... Yeah. Please don't ban me. Oh, God. Oh, God, Zach. Again, Nerds Engaged. Thank you for the 5 gifted, man. That's very generous. Connor says The Rock is just going to play himself like always. But you're ruining my segment. I got notes. I got a rebuttal for that. Did he do the smashing machine and everybody was like, holy shit, he's actually trying to act now? Wasn't that like a full news cycle for like a whole year? I thought the whole thing was like now The Rock is like trying and he has range and stuff. Appreciate you, Connor. Darth Taser says, for 21 months, says, member for 2.1 years, let's go. So what's this bad doomsday news? Also, yes to the Rockpocalypse, my man. Hope everyone is having a great day. Much love. Well, brother, we're going to get there. There's a bit of a conflicting reports coming in from John Campia about what's happening with the movie in the edit. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And, you know, I have some thoughts, too. Overall, though, pretty. I don't think it's a complete nothing burger because obviously, like, I want to talk about it. It feels as though, and we'll watch the clip where Campia talks about this, but it feels like he kind of wanted to back off of it, especially after hearing the thing from the other source. But he also, like, kind of said it already, so he felt as though he had to clarify. At least that was my impression. It just means that some source out there told an insider that Marvel's having trouble finding the movie in the edit. And we're going to talk about what that means. Darth Taser, I just read your member chat, brother. I was literally reading it right now. I'm reading it right now. 2.1 years. Let's go. What's the bad doomsday news, which I just answered, brother? What'd you like? Or are you in the crapper? Yeah, no, I read it right now. Much love. Darth Saber says, I'm sorry, Josh, but The Rock sucks at acting. Who else would you cast? Oh, my God, guys. All right. Well, don't worry. We're going to talk about it, okay? I understand what you're saying. I don't think The Rock sucks at acting. I would say you could make the argument that he is a one-note kind of an actor, or he doesn't have like a ton of range. But all that means is like you find the character within that range, and then you have a match made in heaven. You know what I mean? But I get what you're saying. Soda Pop Walter says, I'd rather have John Cena. We already went over that. That's a good idea, though. After Apocalypse killed Magneto in X-Men 97, it broke me, man. Love the episode. Love the show. Rockpocalypse? He better be jacked up for that role. Yeah. Dude, the X-Men 97 is so good. I'm blown away by it, man. I'm really happy. I will bring Apocalypse up more when we talk about the Rockpocalypse 2 in X-Men 97, because with that being as good as it is, like, you just show The Rock that. You know what I mean? Like, you literally just show Dwayne that. And of course, he's going to find his own version. The voice is really key. You know, I think the voice can be modulated. He has to have that sort of cockiness once he becomes like Godhead Apocalypse, you know? Yeah, but I genuinely think The Rock could do it, because, like, I don't think Apocalypse is the kind of guy that you're going to have these, like, really fascinating or important dialogue sequences with that have to be, you know, Tarantino-esque levels of writing and subtle play between the actors. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Apocalypse just literally kind of needs to show up and be like, you know, say some cold ass shit here and there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. Your worst fear will be Phase 4 or 5 characters getting a ton of shine and taking down our OGs. That's it. He nailed it. It's not exactly that, but that's basically it. Yeah. And I'll explain it. I'll talk more about it. But it's basically that if the movie would rather be less cool and focus on all the characters that they feel a responsibility to focus on, then, like, I'm gonna be mad. You know, like, that's silly. That's silly. To me. We'll talk about it. We'll talk more about it in a second here. All right, hang on now. Hang on now. Wait, Nerd Escape, you did 5 more gifted memberships, or am I crazy? Wow, 5 more gifted, bro. Thank you. Or maybe you double tapped it. No take backsies. Kathleen Kennedy is a new member. Well, I guess she's got more time on her hands now. Corvus Corax, top 5 Primarch. Not to me. I mean, he's cool. He's not top 5 though. Nicholas Ask Hang Gaming says, Josh, I hope Doom says something you said on stream. You've already met a variant of me. You called him Tony. Yeah, dude, that'd be ice cold, huh? That'll be ice cold. Buffer Overrun says, I'm now on board with splitting up the universes, reduce reliance on shared universe. Cavill as Apocalypse. He was great in Mission Impossible Fallout. Dude, Cavill as Apocalypse is interesting. I still think Rock. And I'll explain more why in a little bit, but I understand what you're saying. And yeah, I mean, I'm open to multiple universes too. It doesn't mean we have to, like, go back to multiverse sharing in the X-Men saga, but perhaps it'll just allow things to kind of cook on their own a little bit more. Star Wars Benjamin says, 38 months, woohoo, time to celebrate naked style. What? Everybody's naked underneath their clothes. Think about that one. I know. Deep. Connor says, Smashing Machine is literally the only exception. But isn't that the most recent John he did? Like, guys, come on. Like, yeah, what the fuck, man? Throw a dog a bone. Throw the Rock a bone. Holy shit. All right, anyway, Nate says, Apocalypse with an eyebrow raise. Can you smell what the Rockpocalypse is cooking? Guys, when I'm not even a huge wrestling guy, okay? But when Rock was doing that whole thing where Cena flipped, and then they were, you know, with all the crazy stuff with his return. I forget what he even called himself, but dude, the promos he would cut, and he'd actually get chills on his arm and stuff like that. That shit is so cool. In some ways, comic books and comic book movies are the final boss. Yeah. Comic book movies and comic book stuff in general is a lot like wrestling. There's like a lot of kayfabe. There's a lot of just like kind of over the top, allegiances, and we like it when the actors talk shit and stuff on each other. I'm reminded of, for Civil War, all those promos they cut between Downey and Evans, and he's like, "Yo, is that the last donut with red, white, and blue sprinkles on it?" And Iron Man eats it and shit. There's something kind of fun about like if the actors can get into it and talk shit a little bit, like in the promotion. One of the things I'm looking for with Doomsday is like, are the X-Men going to talk any shit? Like, are the X-Men actors and then the Avengers actors going to talk any shit? Because technically, they used to way before this. Like, there were interviews with like McAvoy. I think there's even interviews with Hugh Jackman and some of them that are like, yeah, we would smoke the Avengers. And so there was always like this kind of rivalry between the Avengers actors and the X-Men actors. Or maybe you saw that interview recently where like John Bernthal was talking about like the Punisher being the best character of Marvel, and there's obviously like a bias there. We like that kind of shit as fans. And I think that's I don't want to say it's like the main reason that I would like The Rock to do it, but I think he brings that to the table, and I think that would be really fun, man. Like, can you imagine? Like, we're getting ready for the first X-Men movie with Apocalypse or whatever, and The Rock is like dropping Instagram videos, just talking shit on every member of the X-Men and how he would tear them apart or something. Like, I'm just like, there's a lot of fun that could be had with such a thing. So, hey, look, you guys are ruining my segment. Anyway, Landon Roland says, what do you think of Doom going to other universes like Gwen or Spider-Gwen to persuade Andrew Garfield Spider-Man? So I don't hate that idea. I actually think that could be really cool. How do you fit that into a movie like Doomsday, though? You know, it would have to be like a flashback montage where Doom was like, actually, I've been doing this the whole time. Because otherwise, I can't really fit it into the movie. And it's like, do we really want a scene like that? I don't know, brother. I mean, it's a cool idea. But, yeah, I don't know if we got enough time. That was my worst fear. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Totally fair, brother. A $20 holla from iFlow593. That is super generous, man. Thank you so much. Says, happy Friday, everyone. Someone in chat, explain to me how to keep a membership after my gifted expires, please. Oh, I think you just have to kind of sign up on your own, I guess. But yeah, I'm not sure. Darth Taser says, my apologies, Josh. Had a worker here fixing a leak, so I didn't hear that you read my member chat. My bad. No, it's okay. Just go tell the guy fixing the leak that he's not going to get paid now, you know? You know, it's just like, there are consequences. He it's just what it is, you know? Nerds engaged with another 5 gifted memberships, or is there a glitch going on here? You gifted another 5? Holy, brother, what's going on here? Does your kid have the phone? Or did you hit the lotto or something? Braden says, need your UFC... Oh, it's Melvin. Need your UFC 329 picks at the end of stream, brother. Might be insane, but Connor catching Max with a left hand. Yeah, we'll go over it. I don't think Connor has a chance. I'd love to be wrong. No one will be more happy than me if Connor comes out and is like shockingly good, shockingly violent, and smokes Max. I think that would be like an incredible scenario, but I don't see it, brother. Like, I just don't see it. Another 5 gifted? I'm starting to get worried now. That's a lot of gifted, baby. Holy, thank you so much, man. That's a nice Silver Surfer Warhammer shirt, Josh. What? Don't sleep on the mental effect? Yeah, I think Connor... I just don't see it, guys. I'm sorry. I like Connor. I like the energy behind his return. I do not see it. I think he has 1 round of actual fighter cardio in him. And then I think after that, it will be a terrible time for him. Because even when Connor was at his greatest, and he was one of the most explosive intelligent fighters we have ever seen in the UFC. He had cardio problems even then. Fighting is a different kind of cardiovascular stress. An example of what could happen I don't think, like, I hope this doesn't happen, but look at what happened to Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. And he was training the whole time. But yeah, dude, that I just personally don't see it, man. I don't see it. I'd love to be wrong though. Zach Tech says, it'd be cool with The Rock doing Apocalypse, but would want someone else to do the voice. Spader hasn't been Ultron. Would love to see him do it. I don't think The Rock would do that. You know? I think he wants to own the role completely if he does, and you can't really blame him for that. So I think it would have to be him and the voice. You could modulate the voice, and Rock could do a different voice. You know? Josh, that shirt is rad, says Norin Rad. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Thanks, brother. By the way, I have not pulled. I bought all this Marvel Magic the Gathering. I have not pulled the Silver Surfer yet. Or Galactus. Kind of can't believe it. Dark Taser says, also, I see you have an MTG deck on your desk. What are you building? Update. Give us a peek into your deck. Yeah, no, it's the Doctor Doom Precon. I've done a lot of adjustments to it, though. Let me see if I can find the one card. So there's like a ton of fun. Oh, dude. So this is the card. This is the combo. Peer into the Abyss. You ever hear of this card? Peer to the Abyss. It costs 7, which is pretty pricey, but target player draws cards equal to half the number of cards in their library and loses half their life. Round up each time. Okay, so what I'm trying to do, because Doctor Doom has a thing, when I discard a land, each opponent loses 2 life. So basically what I'm going to try to do is set it up so I can have Doctor Doom out there. I tutor for that card. I draw half my deck. I go to my discard step. I discard at least 20 land and kill everybody at the table. Oh, it's going to be so cool. Unless it doesn't work. And then I'll be mad. Sir Olivio says, do we think Doom will wear the white in Secret Wars? I think so, but no way to know for sure. I do think so, though. Again, thanks, Nerds Engaged, man. That's a lot of gifts and memberships. Really appreciate you, man. Thank you. Juan Goulart says, you think Rock will change his contract to lose? Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe like he can get close, or like they call it a draw, because Apocalypse doesn't really outright lose that much. He gets like delayed or stopped in a certain way, but whatever. But yeah. The Rock as Scorpion King is just in Sabanur anyways. With age and growth, he could easily muster the desire to just be a Giga Chad villain. Nerd Vengeance for life. Hell yeah, Vandolph. It's good to see you too, brother. Yeah, I'm feeling it, man. I'm like genuinely feeling it when it comes to The Rock as Apocalypse. And I will attempt to sell you on that today. In fact, let's just start with The Rock Apocalypse. Let's start with The Rock Apocalypse. He doesn't have to if he's Apocalypse. What? Yeah, if he's Apocalypse, that's true. He really doesn't have to. Because they don't lose. I mean, he don't lose too much. Wasn't the whole episode that we just watched kind of about how they never beat him? Like Charles was like, we never beat him. We never stop him, you know? Okay. Let me get this pulled up. Let's talk Rock Apocalypse, man. Let's talk Rock Apocalypse. Where's this report at? I gotta find it. Hang on, I gotta find the Rock report. Jeff Snyder just said 21 minutes ago, tonight's newsletter is about The Rock, who is on the kind of cursed commercial run that raises an eyebrow. All right, Jeff. Yeah, I mean, I guess Moana's looking pretty bad, huh? Moana's gonna bomb pretty hard. What a world. What a world, you know? Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about The Rock as Apocalypse. And yeah, man, it's a real rumor. It continues to be out there. I'll bring it up on screen for you guys right now. And boom, shakalaka. So here we go. It's coming from My Time to Shine. Hello. Rock is up to play Apocalypse in the MCU. Now, that's a long-standing rumor, man. I've talked about this several times. I've brought it up in the past. And I basically immediately saw the potential for this. So let's kind of get into the weeds a little bit about why we believe this report, where do we think it's actually going to go, and then I'll talk specifically about what I think The Rock brings to the table for Apocalypse, okay? So for way longer than we heard The Rock was being looked at for Apocalypse, we knew, or I guess the more correct way to say is we heard that Apocalypse was going to be a focus of what Kevin Feige wants to do with his X-Men in the MCU. And it's connected to Apocalypse, it's connected to Sinister. And part of the reason we knew this is like the very early on rumors about X-Men were that it wasn't going to be like another versus Magneto thing. They wanted to do something different, and they're looking to bring in Apocalypse, right? So that's kind of number one, and that has persisted throughout, you know, for years basically. And I would also argue if you look at X-Men 97, it's pretty clear that they wanted to build up Apocalypse and that they wanted to set up Apocalypse, which I think makes perfect sense because Apocalypse is one of the coolest parts of the original 90s X-Men show. And the Fox live action universe would go on to try Apocalypse, of course, and it didn't. I mean, it's all right. It didn't really pop off the way that they had hoped. Fans didn't really resonate with the way that maybe they expected. And it didn't really work, okay? Not in the way that it has worked in both the comics and in those animated series, okay? So we're pretty confident that this is happening. And in fact, there was an actor out there that is reportedly also being looked at for Mr. Sinister. So maybe you saw that pop up as well. So basically, guys, it's real. Apocalypse is coming. Marvel is looking, and they are talking to The Rock. Okay, they've had conversations with The Rock. So I would imagine The Rock wants this. I would imagine Marvel is excited about the possibilities of this. But I'm sure there's some rough edges. I'm sure there's a lot of negotiations. I'm sure there's a lot of things that would have to go on, okay? Now, you might argue, and I bet this will be something that some of you guys will bring up in chat, that what The Rock did to Black Adam and the Black Adam character kind of makes certain fans, and maybe even Kevin himself, a little weary of working with The Rock. And what I mean is, Rock was heavily involved in Black Adam and was really trying to use Black Adam as a way to sort of assert control over all of the DCU. I remember all the memes. I remember all the photos. I remember him going to Comic-Con and getting fucking booed. And then he brings Henry Cavill back. You know, like I remember that whole time. It's wild that Peter Safran and James Gunn end up getting DC throughout that whole thing. But he also changed Black Adam. You know, like he literally changed the character and changed the direction of the character at the end of the movie to make him, like, you know, blow up his own throne, and he's no longer authoritarian or whatever. He's just going to be a protector and all that kind of shit. So fans don't like that. They don't like when you change the character. I think with Kevin specifically, like, especially if the next couple of movies in the next couple of years can really pop off, I think Kevin will basically have all of his cachet back. And then some, because people internally have talked a lot about how one of the things that really hurt Marvel was the fact that Kevin was more hands-off. He had passed authority over to the lieutenants. He wasn't there, you know, I guess micromanaging as much. And I think if we really do turn this around, I think Kevin's going to be like just more involved. So you can kind of see how there's potentially some issues. But I would also argue that Dwayne and where his career is at, which is kind of funny. We just saw before going into the segment that Jeff Snyder is going to do a whole newsletter about The Rock and how his career has kind of fallen off. And right now it looks like this Moana movie is going to bomb that The Rock is in. And The Rock has been on somewhat of a downward trajectory, at least in his Hollywood business and the movies and all of that, right? So that kind of means he has less leverage. So he would actually have less leverage to impose control over Marvel Studios or whatever he did. I think he'd also be more open to collaboration and to working with them. I think The Rock kind of needs this. And so I think it could happen. You know what I mean? I think that those potential pain points might get smoothed out because they both kind of need it. Marvel, conversely, also maybe not in its best position ever. A lot will be determined on how Spider-Man performs, how the next two Avengers movies perform. But by and large, Marvel has, suffered a loss of reputation, a loss of faith in what they can do, and a loss of interest, right? So Marvel also needs a jolt in the arm. And I think getting like a massive star like The Rock for a massive villain in a huge role for this big franchise in X-Men, I think it's a good play. Now, of course, many of you say, no, hell no. He's not a good enough actor. He's too old. All of these different complaints. Now I got to sell you on this as for The Rock, okay? The first thing is, this guy has been turning in better and better performances. The Smashing Machine movie that he did, although completely underperforming in the box office, the story and the narrative around it was that Rock was really good in it. And his acting chops and the range and the ability to work with the director, even use costuming. You know, there always used to be a meme of like, he plays himself in every movie. And there's actually something to that, right? He's such a brand guy. He's so brand forward that he probably always wanted to look like Rock in all of these different movies. That's actually why Black Adam's probably bald. You know, he does the Smashing Machine guy. That hair that he had should have been the hair he had in Black Adam. You know what I mean? And so you can kind of see an evolution even in that regard. And what I'm saying is I think that Rock is actually at a place where he would approach the role of Apocalypse from an entertainment, spectacle, energy perspective, the wrestling side. But I also think he would be willing to sit there and do 50 takes and try to actually find something nuanced and painful or interesting with the performance. I think he is at a stage in his career where he'd be open to that. I kind of think this role's like perfect for him, dude, because Apocalypse doesn't have to do Tarantino level dialogue sequences. He does have an air of cockiness and he is very intelligent. And so you have to have that come across. He has to feel like a threat, not just because of his power, but because of his mind. And sure, that's something that, you know, you'd want to see how The Rock could handle that. But I don't think Apocalypse is the kind of villain where you would really need some high-level act. It's not like a Magneto. Like, I think Magneto needs to have incredible conversations with Charles. I think Magneto needs to be really, like, wicked and cruel and have a sharp tongue with his own henchmen and maybe even humanity and people that are threatening him. I think Magneto needs to make us feel his pain. You know what I mean? Like, Magneto's a layered, complex character that needs a lot of character performance to flesh out properly. Apocalypse is not that. You know, like, that's not what Apocalypse is. Apocalypse needs to show up, fuck shit up, have high energy, say some cold ass lines here and there. He's basically a wrestler. Like, he is basically the ultimate heel that works the crowd, shows up, talks shit to the heroes as he's whooping their ass, and the occasional moan and groan as he's coming up against power that he didn't, perceive or understand. Like, it's not like this is not outside of the possibilities for one Dwayne Johnson, in my opinion. Okay, the physicality. I think the physicality is important, and yeah, they might do things to make him more intimidating, you know, maybe put him in some kind of stilt things, maybe give him some kind of thing for either an eye level or so that there's like more bulk to him or whatever. But generally speaking, the actors that he's playing across from would have a better, it would be easier for them to actually have an intimidated like energy if Rock is jacked to the gills and furious and intense and bringing that wrestler energy to the character and to the performance. I think it would actually help, and I think it would come across in the performance. I really do believe that. And then the other side of it that I think it would be so cool is the earned media. Rock has a massive social media platform. Anytime he does an interview or says a thing or whatever, it's news. He's just really big and high profile, you know, even to this day. So the ability to leverage that and for Rock to like actually talk shit and like hold that apocalypse thing as his brand, I think it's like a match made in heaven. You want a guy like that playing your main villain. You know what I mean? Like Jonathan Majors was great as a performer, and he was a budgeting star. He did good with that movie with the Creed movie, you know, and got a serious pop out there. But like the difference between somebody like him and somebody that has like a massive social media following, it's just worlds of difference in the potential audience they can hit with their own social media. It's a reason why like Haley Steinfeld, or what's her name? The gal that plays Kate Bishop and also voices Gwenpool. I think she's like similarly valuable. She has a massive social media following, you know, like absolutely massive. And I do think that helps. You know, there's like talk of people like Sabrina Carpenter potentially coming into the MCU. I think Sabrina, it may be one of the only things she really brings to the table in that regard is that massive audience and that social media platform. So I actually think Rock would add value to the promo. I think it would be fun to watch him talk shit on these other X-Men and maybe even do some like wrestling pranks or whatever. I think that'd be really fun earned media. So dude, I just got to tell you, I see no reason as to why Rock couldn't do this and why it wouldn't be really, really fun. And then the last thing I'll say before we open up the chat, and you guys can complain, and you can say, I don't know about that, Josh. The last thing I'll say is I think it's such a blessing to have X-Men 97 popping off the way that it is right now with the character of Apocalypse specifically. Dude, they're doing a great job of building this up. And as an actor, that's the kind of shit that can inform you. We get excited, or at least we used to when we all used to love Star Wars. We used to get excited when we'd hear one of the actors went back and watched all the Clone Wars stuff. You know, Hayden Christensen was talking about that when he came back for Ahsoka. And it's like, yeah, we like that shit, man, because I want your character to be informed. I want you to recognize the thing from the thing I really loved so that you can try to create some similar resonance. That is a tool of the actor. And to have such a dope show with such great writing that is in some ways deconstructing Apocalypse, but also just like explaining the inevitability of him. Oh man, that's great shit. So just watch that over and over again, Dwayne, and then you'll be all right. So anyway, those are my thoughts on why I think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson would be so good for Apocalypse, and I hope that the Rock Apocalypse is real. I will now open it up to the chat. Are you sold? A lot of you were skeptic before. Are you all convinced now? Are we all sold on the idea of the Rock Apocalypse? Baby! All right, let me do a couple of these chats here. Landon Crowland says, who's your casting for Mr. Sinister? I actually didn't hate the person that Shine said was potentially looked at for the role. Let me look at who she had. I didn't hate that choice, actually. Oh, this guy. Wagner Moria. Apparently he was in Boardwalk Empire. Apparently this is the guy. Yeah, I can see it. Throw some white paint over him, you know, put a diamond in his forehead, call it a day. Not the worst. Not the worst. Oh, the shorts. Yeah, you got to remind me of that. Okay, iFlow says, seriously, I thought Rock was off the juice, or maybe he has the chops and aura. Oh, well, he's probably... So, look, he is older. He could be off the juice. I don't really know what his cycle was like. I know that, like, for a 50-plus-year-old dude, he was enormous. And at one point, it was like, yeah, no, he's got to be on some kind of crazy cycle. But he's probably, like, either off a crazy cycle, maybe on, like, a maintenance cycle. And hopefully he's put a lot more peptides into his... I guess, diet or whatever. And hopefully he's like less, you know, I don't really know. I don't really know what he was doing. It's all speculation because I don't know that he's ever even admitted to doing anything, but it's like super obvious, right? Yeah, I don't know. I still think he can get jacked and I still think he has the physicality. Vandolph says The Rock and Apocalypse would have total wrestler connections. 4 Horsemen existed in wrestling first. He'd want to move the icon. He'd be more iconic than Thanos is. It's good for his brand. He needs this role bad. Yeah, totally agree. And I'm thinking I think both of them will get something out of it, which is like a really copacetic situation. Marvel kind of needs the help. I think we also need a little more testosterone, you know, a little bit more dude bro, a little bit more chud coded. I think The Rock is great for that. You know, bring those wrestler vibes in. Let's do a little bit dude bro coded. Let's get a little more testosterone into this thing, you know? Crest says shorts. Yes, thank you. I will do them. Unless I forget. Thanks, bud. Zinni says Christopher Judge would be perfect as Apocalypse. Yeah, he would be great. I haven't seen him physically in a long time, though. I know his voice is incredible, and he used to be huge. I just don't, like, is he still in pretty good shape? I haven't really checked in on him too much. Jordan says, how derivative will the X-Men, MCU X-Men be from X-Men 97? From what I understand, they're certainly taking cues from it, and I think they're trying to distill down what's working. But I think they really want to go big. So what I would tell you, my best answer is they're going to be derivative of the relationship and character stuff, but hopefully spin it up in a new way, like a new twist on an old lemon. So that's kind of my understanding of it. That's a good question. Corey says, with the pending debut of the X-Men in the MCU, who are you most excited to see a new version of? For me, it's Cyclops. Yeah, Cyclops for sure. Very interested in a new Cyclops. I'm kind of interested in a new Logan. You know, see what they would do with Logan. New version of Beast could be really cool. Maybe Bishop, man. You know, Bishop's so cool, and that Bishop they did in Days of Future Past was cool, but just not enough. You know, there just wasn't enough. So maybe Bishop. Zach says if he doesn't have the chance to completely take control of the character like Black Adam, I agree. Rock is perfect for Apocalypse. Oh, well, then in that case, I think we're on the same page because, brother, Marvel's not going to play that. You know, homie, don't play that. Kevin, don't play that. And now I bring my 4 horsemen and the millions and millions of mutants who are going to lay the celestial smackdown on this pathetic planet. That's what I'm talking about. Like, he could really bring some hype shit, some hype promo, some excitement, some energy, man. Larry David as Apocalypse? Hey, no way. The big guy from Game of Thrones. I mean, physically he could do great, but I don't think he's got really good acting chops, brother. Like, even worse so than The Rock. Even worse so than The Rock. Rock said he reduced the bulk to move away from his wrestling and The Rock persona. He wants to be Dwayne Johnson and not The Rock anymore. Yeah, and after a couple of bad years, I bet his agent's going to talk him right the fuck out of that. We'll see, though. Snyder on the hot mic said he heard Shadow King in Black Panther 3 as being the mutant he heard. Thoughts? Oh, did he really say that? Are we really going to get Denzel Washington as the Shadow King? Dude, that's generational. So listen, we're in a time right now where there's like a question of like why does comic book stuff even still matter, or like why do people still fucks with it? Is it on the way out? Should people care about it? All these things. There's a lot of like meta commentary about superhero shit in general. Okay, but I'll just tell you honestly that I still get a fanboyish excitement when I start to think about like a character like the Shadow King, an actor like Denzel. You put those two together, and you got a writer and a director like Ryan Coogler. I mean, that's just like genuinely really cool, man. Like that's just like really fucking cool. And I don't care how cringe it might be to like still like Marvel or still hope for fun things like that. I don't give a fuck. That is what it's about for me. And I think as like literally so long as Marvel can continue to try to cook in that way, then we're probably going to be okay, man, because I will at least be like, I'm like really into that. And I think there's just great ways to maybe continue to do stuff like that, you know? And I know not everybody's buying what I'm selling here, but I do believe The Rock could do that, guys. It's not like a guarantee or whatever. It's certainly not. He's certainly not a Denzel level actor, right? But Farouk is a different kind of character. You know, Denzel Farouk, that could be generational, dude. That's like that's really cool. That's like really fucking cool, man. I'll be really excited to see that shit in a couple years. Dill Vapika says Apocalypse is currently being successfully used to hype this new season of Marvel Rivals. Hey, there you go. As a good catalyst for cooler things to come into the fray. Yeah, man, totally. Yeah, totally agree. Finally, Insaba Nur returns in Egypt. I've slept for 10K years and see the world filled with candy-ass weaklings. See? This guy gets it. Now that's a champion. Now that's a champion. All right, hope you liked me repeating myself, because now we got to do a short. So I got to repeat a lot of those same points that I just made in a 1 to 2 minute time period. Shut your mouth and talk to me. Here we go. So it looks like The Rock might actually be Apocalypse, and I'm very excited about that, but I will admit not everybody is. So let's talk about it. Let's break it down. So first of all, it's real. This rumor of Apocalypse being one of the main villains of the X-Men saga has been around for a long, long time. And so have the rumors of The Rock being in talks for this role. And I think, you know, this is now coming from my time to shine. Hello. I think it's real, guys. I think we're definitely going to get an Apocalypse. Whether or not it'll be The Rock, that's up for debate, but it looks like this is really something they are considering. I think it also makes sense because The Rock's been on somewhat of a downward trajectory in his career, and being a big Marvel villain for the next big franchise, like being the next Thanos, the next Kang, the next Doctor Doom, that's a really good role, and I think it'd be something that could boost The Rock's career. I also think Marvel could use this. I mean, first of all, Marvel needs a little more testosterone, a little more male energy, you know, in it, and also I think they need some people that are really going to dig into the role and also get the fans really, really excited. There's a really cool connection between professional wrestling and Marvel or comic book fandom. I mean, they're wearing colorful, fancy suits. They're talking shit. They have their fans. You know, some of them are anti-heroes. Some of them are baby faces. You know, some of them are heels. It's very similar. We treat our comic book movies in a lot of ways just like professional wrestling matches. And I think I genuinely think it would be a really good fit to have Dwayne come in and bring some of that energy to the X-Men thing, cut some promos, talk some shit on the new Sadie Sink X-Men crew, man. You know, I think it would be fan-freaking-tastic. I know not everybody's sold on it, but I think it's good. What do you think? Rockpocalypse, yes? Rockpocalypse, no. Let me know. Boom shakalaka. Den of shorts. I mean, we're trying some shorts, you know. We're trying a lot of things right now. Not everything's going super well, you know. We're trying, but we're gonna get there. Nice eyebrow raise. Did I raise an eyebrow? I'm smelling what you're cooking. For now. Oh, hell yeah. Hey, Josh, missed my super. How reliable is the Secret Wars leak? Knowing how much Marvel constantly changes the script. Thoughts on Ultron? Hope the family's doing well. Much love. Well, I appreciate you, brother. Yeah, family's doing well, man. We're doing well. What was the rest of your question? The Secret Wars leak. So I've done a couple of videos on the Secret Wars leak. I'll probably do a video on the main channel where I break it down a little bit more. I think it's real. I think it's very much incomplete. I think it's a very, very incomplete understanding of the movie. But I mean, for better or worse, I think it's real. Some of those beats will happen, I think, yeah. Thoughts on lack of Franklin Richards in any of the plot leaks? Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I wonder if they went away from Franklin. I wonder if Franklin is connected to things they're trying to keep very secretive about the movie. There's different ways you could sort of slice that. In the Discord DMs? Oh, yeah. Dude, Kendall, hit me up, man. Definitely. Right now, Randon's doing a lot of them, but frankly, like, you know, they're tough. And also, like, I like to utilize Randon on long form videos too. We're still working through it. Like, we're trying to find new editors. You know, we're onboarding some people. Some of it's working out. Some of it's not working out, you know. So I'm still looking for more editors. I really need some editors that know Warhammer, because I really need to get my Warhammer Explained channel going again. But yeah, if you're an editor out there, if you're one of the people that reached out before and I didn't get back to you, maybe reach out again. Sorry, I'm drowning in emails. I'll try to see what you got going on. I am talking to like 4 or 5 different editors, kind of trying to, you know, explain the system to people and all that. So yeah, I can't raise one eyebrow. Wait, what? That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. I missed your super chat. Let me see. Hitting things with sticks. I don't think I did. Late to the live, but did y'all talk about the rumor of Doomsday appearing at Billy World tomorrow yet? No, but that's super cool. That's the Shanghai John? I hope it does, man. I hope it pops off, and I hope people think it's dope as hell. I do not see your question in here. Hits things with sticks. Sorry, brother. I'm scrolling. My name is Kid. Yeah, sorry. Just put it back into the chat, brother. I don't see it. I'm sorry. Anathemata says, I am the literal rock of the eternal shore. Crash against me and get a rock bottom straight into danger room. That's what I'm talking about. Come on, man. Come on. That's what I talk about. That shit would be so hype. I'm getting chills. Okay, now let's talk about James Gunn and the DCU. You guys ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, so wild, in my opinion, wild update about the DCU. And man, I don't know. I guess I had just thought maybe I'm crazy. You guys help me out on this, chat. Help me out on this. There's no DCU Hall H presentation at San Diego Comic-Con. Okay? No, I don't hate you hitting me with sticks. Put it into the chat, but now you have to wait till after the segment. I'm sorry. Okay? Listen, Linda. I had assumed there would be a Comic-Con Hall H presentation for the DCU. And I actually assumed this before Supergirl. I assumed this before we had long-range box office trajectory for Supergirl. I'm talking the very beginning of the year. And I know this because I do a prediction for the year videos. Every holiday season, I look back at the predictions I made for the previous year and usually laugh at how wrong I was. And then I make predictions for the next year so that I can laugh next year at how wrong I was. And man, I was wrong again about this specifically because I said Gunn will leverage San Diego Comic-Con. I just thought for sure, man, Superman comes out. Cool. Good enough is the story on Superman. Not great, not terrible, good enough. And I just assumed, we're going into this thing. There's more projects on the horizon. San Diego Comic-Con's where you want to come in and make all these announcements. You want to put some logos up on the board. You want to do some teases, talk about casting, get people super hyped up and excited, right? That's what Marvel's about to do. And I had just assumed, outside of the performance of Supergirl, right? I had just assumed that was going to happen. And so, man, I'm kind of shocked. Like, I'm kind of shocked that it's not happening. And in fact, unless I saw this pop up, technically I did not watch this video, okay? But did James Gunn really just do an interview with New Rockstars? And did he really say this in that video when asked about their absence from Comic-Con? I think it's a case-by-case basis. It just depends on the situation. Sometimes you really benefit from going to Comic-Con and spending millions of dollars and selling an idea, especially when you have a great trailer. But other times, I post a picture of the cover of the screenplay on Instagram for $0, and it is equally effective. It gets just as much press. So you have to kind of always ask yourself, what is it that's worth spending money on? Okay, so before I lay in to the goon one more time, I would just like to know, in all fairness, is this real? Did he really say this? Did he really say this? Can somebody double check that he actually said this? I don't want to be unfair if this is fake. So I guess until somebody confirms it in chat, we'll just consider it possible that he didn't actually say this, okay? This is fucking wild, dude. That is a wild thing to say. That is a wild thing to say. And I've been so mean to Gunn, and I think he deserves it all. He's such a big idiot. But this in particular is like quintessential narcissistic behavior. Like, this is like not being able to read the room, not understanding what you're saying is like a hard confirmation of how fucked up you are. This guy is literally saying that his Instagram posts for $0 are just as effective as Comic-Con. That is such a tell, dude. Like, that is the mind of a person that has to view things through the lens of me, and cannot look outside of the scope of me. Brother, you go ask 100. Oh, he said it in 2025? He said it in 2025. Okay, all right. Well, at the very least, we can say this is not him saying it right now to this absence of San Diego Comic-Con. So we can at least give him a little bit of a break on that, because that, to me, that's fucking crazy. You're literally explaining 2 weeks out or 3 weeks out from Comic-Con that, like, well, if I just post the cover of my script and people see written by James Gunn, they go nuts for it. Why would I spend money and go to Comic-Con when I can just post my shit on my Instagram and my bots will make me feel great about it? I mean, that is fucking wild. That's wild. Go ask 100 fans on the street. Would you rather see James Gunn post the front page of a script he's writing on Instagram or a very dope Hall H presentation? I'm gonna speculate, prognosticate, predict that a great many of those 100 fans will choose the Comic-Con thing. Yeah, like this is crazy talk. This is crazy talk, and also too, it's just plainly crazy to skip Hall H. If you've got the goods and you're actually building this fucking universe, and you're really gonna do Gods and Monsters into some other phase, and you've got a 10-year plan, and you're all excited, and it's building on top of each other, why wouldn't you want to share? Why wouldn't you get out here and build some hype? And that's an important part of the process. Comic book shops for the last, I don't know, million fucking years have been doing comic book previews. Every issue ends talking about what's going to happen in the next issue or leaving you on a cliffhanger. The entire model of fun comic book shit is built on a cyclical cycle of hype, receiving the actual thing, and then getting excited about the next one. So if you're that guy outside, like, because again, you could maybe understand like Supergirl was shit. Maybe he wants to avoid Supergirl criticism or whatever. I don't understand. But that's not even like the planning to this had to have happened a long time ago. Gunn must have been looking at his whole thing, assuming Supergirl was going to pop off, assuming Lanterns was going to work, assuming Clayface was going to be the next Joker, and assuming he was going to crush it with Man of Tomorrow. And assuming all of that was going to lead into something else. And a year ago, he's sitting at the whiteboard looking at all of that. There should have been a consideration for letting the fans in on it, getting them excited about what is to come next. I think this feels like we don't know if this universe is going to be around anymore. And I know Lanterns is going to be there, but that's associated with HBO. And to be honest with you, the whole Lanterns thing has been weird because it's like Gunn's almost like how much control does he have over that? It's an HBO thing. HBO seems to have a lot of control on that. So I don't understand why we don't have a DCU, DC Universe, the DC Studios, Hall H. Hey, you know, you DC fan, you're here at the Mecca of Comic-Cons. You're here at the grandest of grand places. All the energy and excitement's in the room. You're close to people that love this stuff. You're close to people that create the stuff. You're close to incredible things that you could purchase, witness, actors you could meet. James Gunn would rather post on Instagram than meet that environment, that high-level event with consideration for how some DCU fans might want that there. And I mean, I really do feel like I just don't understand it. I don't understand it, you know? Maybe he's butthurt because the one thing he did where he did have all the logos, like half of those things are not happening. And maybe he just doesn't want to like call his shot anymore. But again, that is literally a part of the game. I can't believe you're not going to play ball. Like that's crazy to me. So, yeah, man, I think it's a big mistake. I also think that a possible explanation is, like, they're not actually very confident that this universe will stick around. I think Gunn's contract is up early next year. He might not even have his job as he's promoting that movie, which I think would kind of suck, like, for him and for fans of his shit. Yeah, this... I mean, are we ever going to get any good DCU news? Like, is there any good DCU news happening? Is there going to be all these other projects that you said there were going to be? Are you actually fixing it? I don't know, man. I don't know about that. All right. So anyways, chat, a little bit of commentary. I'll open it up to you guys. What do you make of this? Do you think it's a big deal? I mean, like, honest to God, man, like I really think if you were a Gunn fan and you're trying to ride for the DCU, it's been a rough couple of months. And then you find out that, like, they're not even going to make an effort to go. If I were a DCU fan, I'd be like, what the fuck, dude? Fight back. Like, fight back. Like, what are you doing? He has nothing to announce? What about like other stuff going into production in this shared universe, cinematic universe thing? Didn't Marvel skip Hall H? No, not this year. I mean, Marvel has skipped Hall H in the past, yeah. But Marvel uses Hall H. Like, Marvel understands the value of Hall H. You know who else used to understand it? Zack Snyder. The first BVS trailer that was released at Hall H and Comic-Con, that shit was generational. That shit was hype. Do you remember where it's like, this is a day about truth? And like, dude, even though the movie didn't work out that great, that trailer was very good. That trailer was very good, dude. They used to have some heat. Now it's like they're not even trying, dude. And can you imagine Kevin Feige coming out and being like, yeah, it's great that like Hall H exists, and you know, sometimes that can be really, really helpful, but then sometimes I can just tweet. That is a wild thing to say. But other times, I post a picture of the cover of the screenplay on Instagram for $0, and it's equally effective. It gets just as much press. So you have to kind of always ask yourself, what is it that's worth spending money on? The fans having a dope-ass thing to look forward to and a bunch of hype to rival Marvel at San Diego Comic-Con, that is not worth spending money on. Oh, boy! Why is Josh taking my lines? I don't know. Did you have a good line? I'll take all the good lines. No one cares about Kevin's social media. He is boring. Well, he doesn't post on social media because he's not an idiot. I've always felt he's playing secret agent sent by Kevin Feige to destroy the DCU. Yeah, a lot of people have that theory. I don't really buy it, but maybe. Did you see how much he's paying himself from DC money? Yeah, he's given himself some pretty nice paychecks, you know? Well, he got fucking canceled for posting. Oh, yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, that's fair. I think James has been told behind the scenes that his contract won't be renewed. You think so? There's some buzz about that. The Wrap talked about that a little bit. Look, not to be that guy, but even Kevin Smith was kind of hinting that Gunn might be out. And Kevin Smith hinted there could be some Snyderverse stuff. Yo, I got to ask, how are you guys going to react if Snyder actually comes back? How are you guys going to handle it if Snyder actually comes back? Oh, I can't wait. I'll take such a fucking victory lap, dude. Oh, man. Let's go. He's not coming back, bro? Yeah, I've heard that before. I remember when they said there is no Snyder Cut. It doesn't exist. You will not deter the Snyder Army. I'm feeling very Zactivated. Replacing Mid with absolutely incredible Snyder would be awesome. Let him have my DC characters, says Melvin. Glad to see you coming around. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Snyder's awesome, says Mikey Muffins. Appreciate you, Mikey. I see that you, too, are a man of culture. I'm down, but you have to do a day one reboot. I think that's the move. Yeah, I think it would have to be a reboot. I don't think you bring Cavill back. I don't think you bring Affleck back. But Snyder comes back, gets a new mission, gets a new idea, cooks with new actors, and he godfathers this shit. Yup. Yup. That's what I would do. I would absolutely do that. I'll be so happy because Snyder is awesome, says David Zona. I'm so glad there's so much support for Zack Snyder in this chat. All right, we got to do a short. Ready? So, breaking news about DCU. You know how Marvel's about to have a Hall H presentation and we're hearing all this crazy stuff about it? They're going to show us the Doomsday trailer. They're going to announce new movies. They might even do some casting stuff. And we're like, wow, that's really nice to have something really cool to look forward to, announcing all the next shit that we're supposed to be hyped at for Marvel. Oh, hey, James Gunn, what are you doing over there? Fucking nothing! They're not even going to the Hall H. They can't even afford a ticket. Seriously, it's crazy. In an interview in 2025, James Gunn said, and I quote, "If Supergirl bombs the way everyone says it is, we're going to be broke as a joke, so we can't afford to announce shit. So I hope everyone goes out and sees that terrible-ass movie we're cooking up." Okay, that was not really what he said, but he did say this. He said that it's a case-by-case basis going to Comic-Con, especially, or that there is a benefit, especially if you have a great trailer, but other times, and I quote, "I post a picture of the cover of the screenplay on Instagram for $0, and it is equally effective. It gets just as much press. So you kind of always ask yourself, what is worth spending money on?" So James Gunn would rather have you look at his Instagram posts of his screenplays that are written by him than spend any money to go to Comic-Con and compete with Marvel Studios or create some kind of cool experience. That's crazy. Seriously, man, if I was a DCU fan, I'd be like, what the fuck, James? Like, what are we doing here? Is this thing still going? Are we still doing Gods and Monsters? Is there still going to be a big crossover event? Like, are you going to get your contract renewed next year? What is happening? Why no DCU Studios Hall H presentation? I think it probably means that they have a serious lack of confidence about how much more DCU there even is. I don't know. What do you think? Boom shakalaka. Now that's a champion. All right, let's talk about the Doomsday problems. And then we'll talk about Nova, and then we'll get out of here. I was going to talk about Reed's plan, but we'll save that. We'll save that. 2 more topics. What do you think, guys? 2 more topics? Does that feel good? I'm so miserable now. Yo, seriously, though, Melvin, it is kind of fucked that they're not doing Hall H, right? Like, of course, I'm going to dog them for it. But that's crazy to me. Like, what do you think? Like, DC fans, are you feeling the same way? Or am I just being a hater? Yes, I am doing it like Action Bronson. Yeah. Now that's a champion. Play the R. Kelly Gooner clip. Where is the R. Kelly Gooner clip? VTJ Productions says Rock as Apocalypse, Cavill as Sinister. That's not bad. Bob Odenkirk as Stryker. Ooh. Shia LaBeouf as Mojo. And shift to Spidey. Vince Vaughn as Norman Osborn. He'd be imposing as Norman, and imagine the laugh. Yeah. That could work, actually. I wouldn't be totally against that. Cavill as Sinister is kind of interesting. Stryker's interesting, man. I think whoever you get to play Cable should play Stryker. Or no, that's Strife. Who's Stryker? Oh, William Stryker. Yeah, he would be great as Stryker, actually. I'm thinking of Strife, but dude, Strife would be fucking sick. I hope we get some Strife, either in X-Men 97 or in the MCU proper, because that would be a really cool one. Dumbest shit possible. Yeah, it sucks, huh? Feige told him what Marvel got planned and he bailed out. It's possible, yeah. How much money to do a diamond tonight? We need it. What do you mean you need it? What do you need it? What if I need some rest? You know? What if I need some rest? We're gonna have a stream tomorrow morning for the members. We're gonna break shit down. There was a fourth UFO drop this morning, but honestly, like, it just kind of feels like more of the same. I don't know, like, are these UFO drops convincing anyone? I feel like all these are doing is making the people that already believed be like, yeah, see, it's real. And then everybody that doesn't believe is like, yeah, that's fake. I feel like this UFO drop shit has been kind of weak sauce, man. The first one was like more than I expected, and all the other ones have been like kind of lame. Like, we get it. There's a bunch of shit flying around that we don't know what it is. Did you hear that Gunn wants to direct Batman? Well, okay. So, look, I heard that report, but the truth is, I don't think he can get anybody. I think if any, look, I'm going to be this is actually honest, and I know it's going to sound like I'm just hating again and I'm talking shit, but this I think is actually real. I don't think Gunn can get talent to work under him. There's actually some evidence that the reason he went with, let's say, a lesser known writer for Supergirl, and remember those reports of how he was trying to get her to do other scripts, like the Wonder Woman script, because he was like really excited about working with her. I'm starting to hear some other reports that are like, oh, what that really means is she's just somebody that had a career of the level that she would actually take notes from Gunn, and he liked working with her because she revered him. And unfortunately, I think there's just a ton of people out there that are far more talented than her and James that are not willing to come in and take notes from him. The Superman cast was woefully underpaid. That's true. He is doing that as well. But I don't know. I don't think that's like as big of a problem per se. But I think what I'm talking about is like actually the black sheep. It's like the actual elephant in the room is the reason Gunn might direct everything and write everything, and the reason we might be getting like really inexperienced overall folks is because people don't want to take notes from him. And I mean, how can you blame them if he's literally creating a studio cut of Greg's movie, the first movie in the DCU that he didn't direct? He's lobbying for a studio cut version. Yeah, I just think it's just going really badly on that side of things. And people underestimate. At the end of the day, look, really at the end of the day, people just didn't understand how hard it was what Kevin was doing. Really. I think that's really what it is. And I've got good friends. I've actually got sources. I've got incredible sources that I talk to that do not like Kevin, think he's overrated, and all of this sort of stuff. And I really love these people. Some of these people I really respect, but like I disagree with them. And some of them know more shit than I do, and I still disagree with them. Because what Kevin did was fucking impossible, dude. And part of it that people look way past is managing of the talent and of the directors. Essentially, he created a way to make it appealing and fun and not a bad time to convince people to do things, you know? And whether that's like coming into a system and we say to you like, hey, we love your vision, we love your pitch. Here's the reality though. We're going to have a second unit that's shooting all the action. You're probably not going to shoot a lot of the action because we have a style. And, you know, hey, look, like we're open to this, we're open to that, but we will screen and change the movie according to this committee. And yeah, that there's pros and cons to that. But look at the pool of talent Kevin has got to go do Marvel movies, and then go look at the pool of talent that Gunn has gotten to do these DCU movies. You know, it really is just different levels to the game. And I think Gunn is making Kevin look really good. So Metzger could be the MCU Stryker. Tillman casting. Yeah, I think there's certainly something there because he's really talented. So, why waste him? Make Metzger do more. 100%. All right, let's talk about these Doomsday problems, man. So let me pull up the John Campea clip here of Doomsday. We'll watch this clip. I'll give you some context on it.
Connected to the situation was that they were struggling.
Okay, let's talk about Doomsday. Let's talk about some bad reports that are out there. And let's talk about the very real possibility that Doomsday disappoints in some ways or maybe in many ways. Because, look, I'm a huge Marvel fan. I'm rooting for Doomsday. I don't think I'm rooting for it in any kind of like delusional fanboy way. I've actually been super critical about Marvel and honest about their product and how I feel about it to a fault. I've been very critical. And part of the reason why is just like, number one, I can't like not be honest. I'm one of those kind of people that like, even when I know I shouldn't, I gotta say the thing that's on my mind, right? But also just because it has genuinely all mostly hit me in a bad way. And I've been very disappointed, very critical about a lot of decisions that Marvel has made. Having said that, I'm certainly wrapped up in the hype with Doomsday. I'm certainly excited about it. And if you asked me to give you an honest answer of how I felt it was going to go, I feel like the movie's going to be awesome. I feel like the movie's going to be very, very successful. But I also want to acknowledge that not everybody agrees. Not everybody sees it that way. There are some people that have read the new plot leaks that are pretty negative on them. There are a lot of voices out there saying that there could be things that go wrong with Doomsday. And so I thought, well, with this news out there, with Campea saying what he's saying, other people saying what they're saying, I felt like it was a good opportunity to acknowledge the possibility of Doomsday going wrong in many different ways. So I want to watch what Campea said, but then I also want to talk about my worst fear with Doomsday, because I actually do think that Doomsday has a somewhat high chance of actually disappointing me in one particular way. And so I want to get into that. However, let's first look at this clip here from John Campea. Now, the context for this clip is that John on his show, it was probably 2 days ago at this point, let it slip that he was hearing some trouble on the set of Doomsday. Okay. And, he even went as far as to say he'll talk more about it on the show tomorrow, sort of setting up a segment that many people were anticipating, including myself, just trying to figure out like, well, what was that about, John? Like, what did you say yesterday? What's that about? Well, here we go. Here's him clarifying.
Again, by somebody connected to the situation, was that they were struggling because they weren't finding it in the edit. That apparently, like when they shot the movie, everything felt great, everything looks great, and now that they're in the editing room and putting the movie together, that they're discovering some issues. Now, besides the fact that I don't want to just get accused of just trying to get clicks for why I'm not segmenting this out, I did finally get a hold of somebody else with some knowledge of the situation. And when I presented them with what I got told by the first person, they just simply said in a very, very short text, I'm just going to read it verbatim here. Okay. This is what they wrote back to me. That's not what I heard. And this is somebody who's connected to the situation. So again, I had one person tell me that there are some struggles going on with the movie, that now that they have it in the edit room, they're finding some problems and that it's problematic and blah, 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 blah. But that was only, and then the other person I finally got in touch with yesterday just simply replied to me, that's not what I heard. So one of the other reasons, besides the fact that I don't want to get accused of just trying to get clicks, is the fact that I've got two different stories coming at me. Like,
sure,
when I mentioned it on the show yesterday, I had only heard from one person. I've now heard from another person who's saying that they didn't hear that. So it could very well not be true at all. That's one of the other reasons I'm not making a headline out of this.
Okay, so look, man, I can be kind of mean, and you might say like, well, that's really a nothing burger, John. And there's plenty of I guess, potential to like jump down John's throat or call him out or whatever. But I actually don't think this is an example of him doing anything necessarily wrong or acting out of pocket. In fact, I think the honesty is commendable, because the truth is, it's like, look, with what he just said, it's essential, because you can kind of read between the lines. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but like I will kind of tell you what I think's going on here. He had a source that's obviously more readily available to him than the other source that was telling him just how bad things were with Doomsday. And specifically what this person was telling him was that they're having trouble finding the movie in the edit. And what John goes on to say, like, when they were shooting it, it felt good, which is crazy, because like I didn't even hear that consistently. I actually heard there was like a lot of ups and downs in the shooting, but that they were finding some magic. Anyway, that the shooting and everything looked good, and they were very positive on it. And then when they finally got the thing in the editing room and put it together, that they were having trouble finding it, that there were like all these problems with it, okay? Now, John says something else really interesting here, where he says kind of like, I finally got a hold of another source that basically said, that's not what I heard. Now, in my experience, and I don't know exactly what's going on with John and his sources, but in my experience, the more difficult sources to get a hold of are usually the more connected and more accurate folks. People that have like I'm hearing this kind of thing, and that are very excited to share everything they know, are usually less reliable, more yappy, wrong more often than the folks that are incredibly hard to get a hold of. And that the folks that will give you very short answers, because those folks are operating in a different world. They know a lot, and they're trying to be very careful with what they let out to even folks like John and myself, who have shown to be able to show discretion with, like, you know, sources and things in the past, but also have a platform and can talk about these things. So to me, I think what John's not saying here is that the second source is a little bit more reliable. And in fact, if it weren't that way, I don't think John would not make a clip over this. This is potentially a huge clip, a huge thing. And I know he says he doesn't want to, you know, just be thought of as getting clips, but absolutely it must have entered his mind that if Doomsday legitimately had problems, and he had sources that were legitimately reporting to him that it had problems, that he would be not only justified, but doing his job and doing it well in reporting that, making a big clip, and getting that information out there. So maybe I'm reading a little too far into it, but I'm basically suggesting to you that the second source put the kibosh on what John had intended to make into a segment, because, you know, John's really smart. He's been doing this for a long time. He didn't tease that 2 days ago for no reason. It's been on his mind, something he wanted to report, something he wanted to make content about. So that's kind of interesting. Okay. So to take the speculation even further, because I want to speculate more about like what's actually going on with Doomsday and talk about some things I heard, but then I want to talk about my worst fear with Doomsday too, right? To take it a little bit further, what John's really referring to, I think, is how the reshoots are fitting into the cut. Because the timing of this is not when the first assembly cut is out there. And you'll notice that, you know, a couple of weeks ago or maybe a month ago when John was talking about stuff, he was a lot more positive. And I think that's because that first initial assembly cut or whatever it was seemed to gel a little bit better. And, you know, especially because they were like, well, we'll juice it here, we'll juice it there. You know, he was a lot more excited and happy about the movie. So what I think's going on here is the reshoot stuff being finally put into the film has made it more difficult to keep whatever balance and flow they felt they had in the original version. That's kind of like the way that I would be reading it or whatever, okay? And then it's interesting that the other source just simply says that's not what I heard. Now, what that implies is that there's no problem finding it in the edit. Maybe there is a situation that's maybe somewhat different than what's being described, or maybe it's the opposite and they're actually finding some dope shit in the edit. And the last thing I'll say about this, just in speculation of the actual cut of the film, I have not heard a single reliable person tell me that Marvel is anything but pumped about what they're billing. They're very pumped about it. I think they're very excited about it. I think they did it. That's not to say that they did, and we're going to have to judge for ourselves. But I'm just telling you right now, I have not talked to a single source that has given me any kind of impression that Marvel's worried about this. I think what could be happening is actually that there's a lot of finagling going on. There's a lot of changes and a lot of editing, and certain people are receiving that as there being trouble in the edit. It's possible people could even be being told that that's why there's so much editing, so many things going on, so many screenings, is because they're having problems. But the actual explanation for it could actually be secrecy. They could be slicing some things into the movie. They could be adding things and doing a lot of screenings to make sure that those secret things are landing well within what has already been established for the film. And they're just trying to keep it as low-key and secretive as possible, okay? So that's just, look, that's my theory on it. That's my explanation. I wonder what you think about this. And again, I'm not trying to jump down John's throat, but I think that if the second source was not so good, I think John would have made a different video. That's my opinion. Now, let me talk about this. Because I do have some worries about Doomsday, even though I've heard a lot of great things, and from everything I think I know about the movie, it's going to be amazing and it's coming together really well. There's always been this one thing that hangs over not just this movie, but Secret Wars as well, that I am genuinely concerned about, that I do think could hurt the movie, at least subjectively for me, okay? And not to sound like a total chud, but it is basically all of the characters, like your Shang-Chi, like your Sam Wilson Captain America, like your She-Hulks, like your Captain Marvels, all of the characters that were Phase 4 and 5 characters, the degree to which this movie spends time and real estate to make them, these other characters, feel like they're a part of the thing, or to make it so that they're important to the plot, or to give them more shine, or to have them have dialogue sequences here or there, or whatever. Like, I can feel the competing energy of, hey, but you need to have Shang-Chi do more in this movie, or like, hey, you need to have She-Hulk do something. And like, I can feel how that consideration might work against the quality of this film. I think this movie should mostly be the OGs, and I think the plot's just gonna, I think it's gonna work better. If you're trying to convince me like why Sam Wilson matters in this whole thing, or if you're like really trying to show me that Florence Pugh is like so important to this new whole thing here, rather than just telling Doom's story, how it connects to the Infinity Saga, what's actually happening to the multiverse, like, I just think that sucks, man. And I can understand like the consideration from Marvel, right? It's a little bit like what's going on with Star Wars and Rey and the sequels. From Star Wars perspective, and this was certainly something that Kathleen Kennedy believed, from their perspective, when you spend millions and millions of dollars to create IP and to build up characters like Poe, like Finn, like Rey, you don't just abandon those assets, and you should spend money to try to rehabilitate them and continue on with them. So that's why they want to do Rey at the end of Starfighter. That's why they want to do a whole movie or a whole trilogy where Rey's Obi-Wan. And that's why they want to bring back Poe, and they want to bring back that, because they want all those assets and those things that they spent all that money on to continue to be valuable. Marvel has the same problem. They put all these movies out, all this promotion, all this stuff, Shang-Chi, She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, the Champions, you know, all these characters have been invested in. And I can understand the desire, especially when you have the biggest movies ever, or the biggest movies you've had in a long time, to use some of that real estate to like really help continue to build value for those characters. But I'm just telling you that like my personal worst fear is that there's going to be all these scenes in the movie that are like, that scene is just in there because for some reason they think Sam needed to have a scene like that. And it's not going to feel organic. It's not going to feel like it actually pushes the plot forward. It's going to feel like a checklist of like, let's make sure we're giving the due shine to all of these characters that nobody gives a fuck about. And to be honest with you, there's some actual evidence to be concerned about this. At one point, the Russos admitted that they have flashcards for all the characters and where they've been in Phase 4 and 5, all the connections that they have, and they're trying to do their best to actually make sure that all that matters and is caked in. Well, dude, like, I just feel like that could be too much. I don't feel like people care. Now, we've also heard some things about how some of these characters are getting massive like that Miss Marvel might barely be in this thing. She-Hulk might not be in it at all, right? And on and on and on. And I'd like to believe that. I'd like to believe that, like, you cut the fat, you go with what works, like, have it be the movie it needs to be, and let go. Let go of trying to make fetch happen with a lot of these characters that people just do not care about. And the degree to which they can't let fetch go, I'm going to be upset with the movie. So I think there's actually a real chance that happens, and that would be a bummer for me. But other than that, I'm not really concerned about Doomsday basically in any way, shape, or form. So with that being said, I'll open it up to the chat. What do you guys think about it? What do you guys think about it? What about John Campia's Doomsday report? What do you mean? That we just went over that. Did we not? Travels and Conversation says, I want to know the leaks, but I am unable to do that. I don't want the surprise to be lost, but I want to hear the leaks. What do I do, bro? You hold out for as long as you possibly can. You know, that's the best you can do. Samuel says, what if Feige gets a DC trilogy, Zack Snyder gets a Marvel trilogy? Josh, would you want to see them? Hell yeah. I'm like 20 minutes behind on stream. Oh, hell yeah, I want to see that shit. She-Hulk wasn't that bad. It was just the last episode. I don't agree, and I don't want to see She-Hulk. I don't. You know? Though nobody cared in the Thor comic, let's be real. B-tier character in the comic, higher in HeroClix. Wait, I must be missing something, but HeroClix is cool. I like HeroClix. She-Hulk was the worst thing ever. I don't know if it was the worst thing ever, but it's pretty close. If they're focusing more on those characters, then why re-release Endgame in theaters? Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they will just focus on the good characters. Your yapping ability today was legendary. Thank you. No, I am pretty good yapper. Some might say a world-class yapper, actually. As long as Heather is in the movie, we'll be fine. Get him out of here. Young Avengers are led by Iron Lady. Can we get Iron Lady now that Kang is gone? Do you pay your source to keep feeding you information? Hell nah. Hell nah. I do know some people that pay for scoops, though. Yeah. Okay, well, I guess we can kind of leave that one there. I mean, what do you guys think about the Campia thing, huh? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I think if Campia had... Like, I don't think he would just not talk about it or not make the clip unless he was pretty confident it wasn't real. My main concern is that not having OG Avengers like Cap, Iron Man, Black Widow all fighting against Doom is a missed opportunity to not give them hit the same way with the current planned roster. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, if their only scenes are them being inferior to the OGs, I'm cool with that. I would also be cool with that, but I don't know. Like, I just don't have a lot of confidence that Marvel's going to do that. Don't forget your shorts. Do you think I should do a short on that one, though? That one might not really be short-worthy. As long as Guy is there, we will be good. It's It's Josh, can't we have some of those characters you don't care about have meaningful stories intertwined in Doomsday? A lot of us want, for example, Shang-Chi to have some shine since he's been gone. Yeah, I'm totally cool with that. But what I'm saying is, like, there's a way that can feel organic, and there's a way that can feel forced. And if it feels forced and it just seems like they're doing it to appeal, you know, no offense, but people like you, then I'm going to be pissed. Because, like, that's stupid. Like, what if they try it? Here's what I'm saying to you. Try it. And if you realize, like, hey, this scene where Shang-Chi talks about his feelings could probably be cut and Doctor Doom could rip a couple more spines, then you rip a couple more spines, brother. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm saying to you is, like, one of the worst things that in Phase 4 and 5 was that it felt like we were doing things not because they were the coolest thing to do, not because they would satisfy the fans the most, but because we felt some weird responsibility to make the first big Asian superhero movie a guy that does kung fu. Like, it's so fucking stupid. Like, what do you mean? That is so stereotypical and dumb anyways. Don't act like you're some shepherd of morality trying to right all the wrongs of the world. Just make some cool fucking superhero shit. Like, that's what I'm kind of trying to say. Like, it didn't even come. All right, I'll stop. But, like, it's like so fucking misguided, bro, you know? Let's be real. Phase 4 and 5 were sacrificed for the PSYOP. Yeah, maybe. It's possible. Yeah, let's try not to look racist and play on all the stereotypes. Like, yeah, that's kind of it, right? And it's like, but what you should have just done is, like, just not said, hey, I want to try to break the cycle of all this, like, oppression and microaggressions and all that shit. It's like, no, that was your problem. Your problem was thinking that you had any pillar of authority to stand on. Shut the fuck up. Like, just make the fun shit. No, I didn't make my UFC picks. We got one more segment here. I'm not done yapping. I got one more segment here, and it's about Michael Waldron. Y'all know about Michael Waldron?
Making its own standalone.
Y'all ever heard about Michael Waldron? You heard about this? You know about this? You heard about this? You know about this? Okay, so we got to talk about this news with the Nova show and Michael Waldron. I'm excited about it, but I also want to admit that me being excited about it is probably going to be a little hypocritical, because this does appear to be a Disney Plus show, and I kind of said for a long time, get those Disney Plus shows out of my face, you know? But let me cook. Let me explain. First thing I'll mention is this actually comes from the Writers Guild of America. Michael Waldron will serve as a writer on the Disney Plus Nova show. What that indicates is that there's actual documentation going through. This is a real paper trail. Michael Waldron will be at least one of, if not the main writer on the Nova show. Likely means that the Nova thing is locked in as a series. One of the last times we checked in on that, there was a big question about whether it would be a movie or a show. Brad Winderbaum had been out there talking about it as a show, you know, a couple interviews with Brandon Davis. Brandon Davis got to be thrilled about the Nova show coming in. He's a big Nova fan, has wanted it for a long time. So we heard from Brad and the official Marvel channels that it was being looked at as a series. But Daniel RPK and some of the insiders had suggested that Marvel was considering making it a movie. According to Alex Perez, one of the reasons why is because Annihilus might be the big bad of the Nova show and one of the big bads, if not the big bad, for the Mutant Saga. The Mutant Saga seems to be a cosmic horror type of vibe with the X-Men and with all the Marvel properties, right? And so, you know, you could see how a show or a movie about Annihilus, about the Nova Corps, about, you know, them actually being the police and fighting this crazy cosmic threat and the Annihilation Wave, you could totally see that as a movie. You could totally see it as a really dope show too. So apparently Michael Waldron is going to do it, and now it's a show. So we're kind of locked in on that. Now, to me, even though I've been very critical of the Disney Plus shows, I like this pick, and I like the direction, mostly because Waldron is, of course, responsible for the Loki show. He's not only the writer and showrunner of the first season, but it was his show Bible, his ending, that then gets adapted into season 2. And Loki is not only the best Disney Plus live-action Marvel show, but it is the one that most successfully set up things that are paid off in major ways in the MCU. Look at Deadpool and Wolverine. You look at what's about to happen in Doomsday, and the TVA and Loki himself, so important to all of that. And so I'm starting to get the sense that getting Waldron on this, taking it very seriously, and making this a really big budgeted show could be the way forward. It could repeat a little bit of what Loki did. And then, I think about the Disney Plus problem, right? I really like what's going on with HBO and the House of the Dragon stuff. I guess the better way to say it is just the Game of Thrones stuff they're doing, because House of the Dragon, it's good, hit or miss, but the fact that you have this really big, expensive, high-profile show in House of the Dragon, and then you have another show that's still really good and people really enjoy, that's lower budgeted and telling a smaller story. I really like that model of just having like 2 shows that don't even come out in the same year, and they can kind of like just keep the audience satisfied. This whole idea that we were going to do like 3 shows a year, 7 shows in 2 years with all kinds of different characters all over the place. It not only did it not work, I don't think it'll ever work for Marvel. Marvel needs 1, maybe 2 big shows that they are working on at a time. You want all the conversation to be around Nova. You want Nova to be treated in the same way that these Game of Thrones shows are treated. When a Game of Thrones show comes out, when it is being developed, when it is being talked about, when the scripts are being written, when the previews or the trailers are dropping, there is a sense, due to a certain level of scarcity, that this is going to be a big deal. Marvel needs to get back to that. The only way forward for Disney Plus is for it to actually serve a purpose, for it to have its own value, and for it to exist shoulder to shoulder with the MCU movie content while not like treading on the value that the movies bring. So for all those reasons, and also just the fact that I think Nova is a great formula for a show, Band of Brothers-esque kind of a thing, buddy cop energy, really I think they'll look at a little bit of what's gone on with Lanterns and dial that up to 1,000 and really have all the budget and the cosmic shit. I think it's a really, really good idea. So this is early days here, but it's also official as official can be. And I'm starting to get excited about this thing, man. I really like Waldron's stuff. Like, I really, really like his writing. And it's almost like Brad Winterbaum was like, hey, Kevin, you had Michael for Multiverse of Madness. You had him on your Avengers movies. You had him come back and work with McFeely and all that. Well, guess what? I need him back. He's one of the best assets we have. I need Michael back because I need a banger of a show to open up the post-Secret Wars MCU era of Marvel content. And you want this show to be a banger. You want it to be really, really well-written, have spectacle, all of those things. So I personally think this is lit, dude. I personally think this is really, really exciting. I'll open it up for chat. What do you think? Could this break the curse? Is this a good model? Are you worried about Waldron? What do you guys think? What do you think? Movie? Show? The curse will be broken. Only comic fans care about Nova. This shit is going to get Daredevil views. So you're right in a sense that, like, not a lot of people care about Nova. It's only, like, hardcore comic book fans. But I'm telling you, with the right trailer, the right marketing, and the right fun, I think people could get excited about this because it's not going to feel, hopefully, it's not going to feel small. One of the coolest things about Loki was how big the show felt. You could go to different timelines, different realities, literally different universes. Like, you could meet all kinds of different variants, and we did. Loki had a Rick and Morty sandbox level of open possibilities. And Michael really thrives in that kind of an environment. I think Nova's much the same. We're traveling around the dark edges of the galaxy. We're seeing, you know, maybe Eldritch type horror hive monster things in the Annihilation Wave and with Annihilus. You know, you can meet all sorts of crazy cosmic beings. I think it's a huge sandbox, man. Maybe you want to get on YouTube and learn about it. What did me not knowing Nova is what made you excited for it? Oh, okay, yeah, fair. I love Nova so much, man. He should be the center of their cosmic saga. I think he's one of them. Yeah, I think so. If he's exploring like celestial lore type shit, that would be dope. Yeah, 100%, brother. Like that celestial stuff, and also too, like there could be some lingering darkness out there after Secret Wars. Like we're starting to get the feeling that, you know, maybe the first firmament, and maybe there's some like lingering darkness. Like they probably don't get out of Secret Wars clean, and so you could explore some of that. Like, what if it's like mad celestials in the depths of space that have succumbed and now they're a part of the Annihilation Wave or something? Like, you know, I don't know. Got to build the lore. We need the lore. Yes, I think we need the lore. And Loki's a great way to do that. That's one of the benefits of a show as compared to a movie, is you can really go deep on the lore. You know, whether you have 6 to 8 hours to explore the characters, but also the lore of the thing, that's a lot of content. That's part of what made Loki so enjoyable, right? It better be Richard Rider, though. I think it's Richard. Yeah, they're going to start with Richard. I think eventually they'll do Sam, but yeah. They ought to focus on a series or two with villain arcs, long-term antagonists like Nathaniel Essex or Nerd. Yeah, something like that could be cool. I'd be down with something like that. The first Marvel comic I remember reading had Nova in it. He's always had a soft spot for me, and I've always wanted to see him in a movie. That's great, man. Yeah, WandaVision had some of that set up in lore too. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I don't know that there's been anybody as negative about Disney Plus Marvel content as me. I literally stopped watching it. Even the stuff you told me was good. Like, you know, I turned Wonder Man off in 5 minutes. I stopped watching the What If or the Zombies, John, like after the first episode. I've been really discerning and really critical and just really not feeling the Disney Plus stuff. But there's a lot to like about this, and I think Waldron's inclusion is like big thumbs up for me. And yeah, man, I think he could really be that guy and just imagine a Loki level show that's out in space with Nova and Annihilus and just all the crazy cosmic possibilities. That's what I want. I want appointment television. I don't want it to feel skippable. I don't want it to feel like homework either. I want it to be really enjoyable the whole way through. Massive spectacle, tons of action, build the lore, be creative. Like, duh. Does Wonder Man not have an Emmy nom? I actually have no idea. It might. Does it? I wish they would give Kang another shot. I think it's possible they do Kang in the next saga. You know, a lot's going to happen, but yeah, we'll see. Deadpool must meet Dick Ryder in the MCU. Here's my level of exhaustion with Deadpool. Hey, by the way, too, I'd love to talk a little bit about Marvel Rivals, that new season out today. Baby, anybody out there giving it a shot? Is it really fun? I heard Iron Man's really busted again, and I'm like the best Iron Man player in Marvel Rivals that there ever has been. So I'm gonna get back on Marvel Rivals. I'm going pro in Marvel Rivals. Maybe we'll even have Marvel Rivals night streams again with the community. Let's go. Dug a ditch with a $20 holla. That is very generous, brother. Thank you, man. Says, around the end of Infinity Saga, when Disney Plus was just announced, Feige explicitly said he wanted to spend movie money on the shows, so there was no drop in quality. Post Chapek Iger, maybe he can get back to that now. That's a great point, and yeah, man, I mean, dude, She-Hulk was $225 million. You know what I mean? And like, I just think there's a better ways to use $200 million. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of other ways to spend $225 million. Guys, maybe I'm just past my gaming prime. No, I'm in my prime. I'm in my prime, man. Tony with the Gamma team up is disgusting. Oh, yeah. Nice. Okay, great. Hell yeah. So basically, I'll probably be Celestial by Monday, and then maybe we'll do some streams. I'll show you guys my high-level professional gameplay. What do you think? What do you think? All right. Any last-minute thoughts here on the Nova? I mean, look, here's what I'll say, right? Maybe they keep doing Daredevil. It kind of seems like Daredevil could be vastly improved in its next season. And that show, you can keep it relatively cheap. You know, I got no problem with that. You can keep that going for a few more seasons. I would say do the Nova show. And then imagine if we have like a Nova show and then like the X-Mansion show with the young X-Men. And it's actually like we're actually getting a lot of mutant stuff at the mansion. That sounds really cool. And do like one every other year, you know? Like, I think that could actually work. You said that last season? I know I did, yeah. Look, man, I'm trying to be nice. Okay? I'm trying to lead with love. All right, let me try to get this short done here, okay? Okay, so I've talked a lot of crap on Disney Plus Marvel shows. I stopped watching them. I've been very vocal about how they should all be canceled, that Disney Plus was the biggest mistake ever for Marvel Studios. However, there's one show that stands out amongst that pile of crap that was pretty good, and that's Loki. The Loki show to me was not only really good, but as a Marvel fan, I felt like it was the perfect show to open up the new phase, recontextualize everything we thought we knew about the Multiverse Saga. Man, I'll never forget when there's Infinity Stones being used as paperweights and what that did to me. And I was like, holy shit. And you know, it does the same thing to the Loki character. Loki was a great show, establishes lore, you know, sets up stuff that we're going to now play with in Doomsday. So that was like the only one that really worked for me. WandaVision a little bit, but basically a lot of those shows didn't work. Now, we just got a report that the Nova show is real. So they're going to do a show with the Nova Corps out in space, probably a buddy cop cosmic adventure with Richard Rider. Big rumors of maybe Annihilus, of the Annihilation Wave being connected to this. And that is really cool. But there's also this news that Michael Waldron, the showrunner of Loki, is officially attached to the Nova series. So to me, that takes this from just being like what could potentially be an acceptable version of a Marvel show to potentially getting back to Loki quality with a cosmic show with a super cool character that could like break open the universe, show us a lot of cool lore, set up coming threats, because we hear that, you know, Celestials or Apocalypse or something to do with the cosmic, you know, evil that's out there is gonna be the big bad in the mutant saga, and you're gonna maybe get a Judgment Day Avengers versus X-Men versus Eternals thing. I actually just think that the Nova show could totally work. So I'm flipping the script. I'm doing a 180, and I'm actually in full support of a Michael Waldron written Nova show. I hope they spend $200+ million on this thing, and I think it could really help. Having a big budgeted, awesome show written by the Loki guy to set up the next phase of Marvel could actually fix their Disney Plus stuff. I think less is more, and I think get the band back together with the one show that really worked, and that's Loki. I kind of think they're cooking. Boom shakalaka. There you go. All right, so that's going to do it for this nice little Friday stream here. I'll kick it with you guys for just a little bit here. But you guys got any cool play? Oh, I got to do the UFC thing. Hang on. Let me pull up the UFC thing. I'll do my UFC predictions. All right, let's go through this. I'll just do prelims, not early prelims. That's actually going to be a tough one there. I guess I would go with Kai in this first one here. I guess he is an underdog, huh? Pretty big underdog, it seems. Yeah, I think Cody gets it done here. There's a reason he's a massive underdog? I might bet Cody on this fight, actually. I think Cody's gonna get it done there. Gable, I really like this guy. He's that big of a favorite. Minus 2,000. What? That's pretty wild. But yeah, I think Gable's gonna get it done there. I'll go with Rob. Featured bout on the prelims. I'll go with Rob. I think he gets it done. I'll go with King Green or Bobby Green. Just on an incredible streak and some hype. Dude, McKinney is great, though. I'm going to go with King Green, though. Dude, he's an underdog, too? Roy Val is an underdog? Wow. I might do an interesting parlay here, man. Because I like Roy Val on this. I like Sandhagen in this matchup here, which I guess makes sense. Patty's an underdog? Wow. I really like Benoit Saint Denis. I really like him, but I think Patty, this is a statement fight for Patty. I think Patty knows this is a really important fight. I think Patty's gonna get it done. And I think Max gets it done, man. I think betting Connor at minus 175, and maybe if you could even get like a bonus to like extend that, I think betting Connor is not a terrible idea. But I don't see Connor getting it done, man. I'm sorry. I just don't think so. I think Max might be better than ever. You know, I just think there's too many questions around Connor, too many questions in his own mind, questions of cardio. And I think Max is like locked in. I don't think Max looked past Connor per se, but I think Max is going to go in confident, which is like ask yourself this question. When is the last time an opponent went into a fight against Conor McGregor completely confident? You know, you could argue Dustin probably did and Khabib obviously did, but other than that, it's been a long time. The Mystic Mac kind of thing used to get in people's heads. I don't think any of that's getting to Max. Those are my predictions. I'm looking forward to it. Going to be a good card tomorrow night, baby. That's going to be a good-ass card. Expo City says, can't wait for Rivals later. I dream of a Marvel DC panel, WWE style, where they get each other to top each other with announcements. Campia as a scooper, not working for me. They made a Kang variant, a white dude. Wait, what? I'm so confused. Did you pick Robert Whittaker? Yeah, I think Rob's going to get it done. The Comic-Con stream is going to be a blast. Dude, the Comic-Con stream is going to be nuts, man. Oh, it's going to be good. No Unity update today. Good stuff happening, but no update today. I wouldn't do an update at the end of a stream on a Friday. Like the first update for Unity after a long time. Like I wouldn't do it at the end of a stream on a Friday. You know what I mean? Like, you can expect a Unity update. The next time it'll happen, it'll be a big deal. Like, you'll see it coming, and it won't be like me answering your question in a chat. You know what I mean? Let's stop asking. No, you can absolutely ask. You know, I just feel like I gotta explain that, like, this won't be a thing that you're like gonna get a buddy update. Like, oh, hey man, yeah, no, I'll give you a little update. No, like, there's a plan. There's a plan. There's things happening. Need a scene where Doom Dog walks his way through the TVA to kill Loki, like Darth Vader. Wait, what? Oh, Dog walks his way through the TVA. I get what you're saying. Yeah, that would be really cool. I do kind of wonder what, like, how will we see him destroying the TVA? Because, like, in the leaks, it kind of says the TVA's been destroyed and everybody's dead. But they also do know, they find out that it was Doom. So maybe they just look at the recordings or something like that. Playing Black Ops 2 right now. Yeah, I saw that came out too. Yeah, very cool. Very, very cool. Saint Denis is scary. He's going to give Patty a tough night, though. I'm pulling for the baddie. Yeah, he's a monster, dude. I love the dude. I love his I just love his, like, attitude, his presence. Like, he has that, like, don't fuck with that guy vibe, you know? But also, like, humble. He's not, like, lording it over people. He just is that guy. And he fights like a monster. So strong. But, like, I personally believe Patty is incredibly talented. I think he fought Dustin so stupid. I think he did I think he beat himself, kind of. You know? So, if Patty's going to go on to be one of the greats, this is a stepping stone to that. This is one of those fights where a lot of people are counting you out, and you can make a statement. What time is the stream tomorrow? 11 a.m. unless something happens, and it'll be 11:15 because Adam screwed up. You know what I'm saying? Are they going to kill Loki for real this time, or what the hell, man? I mean, I don't know how to answer that, because I think basically everybody's going to die in Doomsday and then get brought back to life for Secret Wars. So technically everybody's going to die, and everyone will be brought back again. So, yeah. What about you guys? Any fun plans this weekend? You guys doing anything cool? Patty's issue is he's not great offensive wrestler. He's gotten his submissions by getting dropped or taken down or reversing. Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely fair. A lot of people think he should have used his wrestling against Justin. Yeah, I don't know. Relaxing. I'm relaxing too. I'm going to try to play some Marvel Rivals later. You know, I actually found I've been playing a little bit of Marvel Magic, not just the Commander, but I was playing Standard on Arena. And I actually have a really fun deck. It's an Iron Man artifact deck. And dude, it's super fun. It's very competitive. I'm getting a lot of wins. So I've been having fun playing that. But yeah, I'll probably play a lot of Rivals tonight. See what the update's like. Yeah, it should be chill. And then we'll go live tomorrow at 11 a.m. We're deep diving on Avengers, baby, which means I got to rewatch Avengers tonight, but no problem with that. I love rewatching these movies. Doing a Nintendo Mario Kart night with the homies on Sunday. Oh, that's sick, dude. That's sick. I've got a guys trip planned for the last week of the month here going into August. So look, leading up to San Diego Comic-Con is going to be crazy for us. After, it's going to be crazy because that next week is Spider-Man. So I'm going to be very busy. I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff. But then the week Spider-Man comes out, that Friday, I'm leaving. I've got a suite booked for me and the homies. We're going to go down to Pittsburgh. We're going to have a good-ass time. We're going to play a bunch of games. We're going to play some Warhammer. We're going to play some Magic the Gathering. We're going to play some other games. Y'all ever heard of King of Tokyo? Dude, that game's fun. If you've never played King of Tokyo and you like board games, check it out, man. King of Tokyo. I'm like the King of Tokyo champ, man. Hell yeah. My comic shop just relocated in town, so I'm going to go check it out. Dude, my comic shop's closing down. The only comic shop in my town is closing. And I kind of want to open a comic shop in town now. But there's just a lot of other things going on. I got to get my comic actually out there and figured out. But I'd love to open up a comic shop. I can't believe my comic shop's closing down. No comic shops in town. Buy it from him. So look, I would actually do that. I have the money, but what I don't have is the time right now. I do not have the time for that endeavor. I have to get Unity figured out. And there's actually like a lot of cool stuff that's going on with Unity, but I have to get Unity figured out. I'm trying to get the Warhammer channel going. I'm trying to get my Alien Esoteric channel going. And Den of Nerds is keeping me incredibly busy, you know? So I just can't, it's just not the time right now. I did think about it though. I did think about it, but not the time, not the time. The thought process that I'm in right now is, yeah, delegate for sure. But no, the thought process I'm in right now is, so basically I did a financing deal and I have a lot of I have like a lot of money available right now, but it's all designed to grow the channels, to grow everything that's going on. And I actually want to basically blow the channels up in the next 6 months as we head towards Doomsday and make so much money that I basically like pay it's essentially a loan. It's not really a loan, but it's kind of like a loan. So I essentially want to crush it in the next 6 months, pay the loan completely back, and then turn around and do an even bigger loan with this investor. And then at that point, I'll buy some retail space and open up a shop. It'll be connected and integrated into like Den of Nerds as well. But I don't feel comfortable doing that right now. I have to actually grow all these channels out. And that includes like Warhammer, other things that I have going on, but like it wouldn't make sense to like buy that right now. Yeah, the Den of Nerds is almost like a virtual comic shop at a hangout level. Yeah. And like I feel like we could do some really fun things. Like we could actually have a stream in the comic shop every Wednesday where I kind of review some comics or talk about the comics that we liked, and we had just like a little stream in there. I'd like to maybe do some streaming for tabletop gaming or like tournaments, because I want to have a comic but also a gaming store where we'd have like, Pokemon tournaments, Magic tournaments, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever's popping. And to be able to sort of utilize the YouTube channels to add an element to that would be good, I think. Yeah, no, Adam, totally. You're totally right. And the thing is, to get all their comics and their back stock and everything, I could probably get it really cheap. It would be valuable, but I just can't justify it right now because it'll sit there for 6 months to a year anyway. I'm not going to have any physical location for 6 months or more. It's just unfortunate. The timing didn't work out, Yeah, we fly out. I mean, dude, I'd love to actually make So like I'd like to make it so nice and such like a kick-ass place that like maybe on certain Friday nights we have movie night and we do like a live stream where maybe I do some commentary and then we actually take questions for people in chat but that are also there live. And man, like why not open it up for people to come in? If it was cool enough, and I'm not saying people have to like fly in, but like maybe you're in the tri-state area, you want to come meet me, or you want to come meet other Nerd Avengers and just hang out for a night or whatever, like, hell yeah, that'd be super fun. Don't you live in a tiny house town? Can't you buy it and then pay someone else to run it? Yes, but I don't have the mental bandwidth to handle that right now. You know what I mean? Because like, I know myself that I do not, even if I just paid someone, even I just bought the store and paid someone to management, I'm going to want to make it better. I'm going to want to tinker it with it. And I'm also going to want it to integrate with my content and stuff. And I'm just telling you right now, I do not have the bandwidth for that right now. I'm years behind on my comic. You know what I mean? Trying to get the, you know, some of these channels. Dude, I'm having trouble even finding new editors. You know what I mean? And like, that's a whole thing for me. And I'm trying to be patient, and I'm trying to like onboard people and get them to understand a system. I have to now make a whole, I decided today, now you really got me yapping, but earlier today, I kind of had the thought, I need to take the time to make a video that explains in agonizing detail what I need from editors for Den of Nerds videos. And because I haven't taken the time to do that, I can't expect the editors to know what I'm actually looking for. And so it's creating like a, you know, it's creating some tension. So like everything, that is on me. And as a leader, it's my job to right that wrong, to set aside the time, to create that asset for these people so that they have a North Star, so that then I can, yes, I need an editor for the video for the editors. That's exactly it. See, this guy gets it. So, you know, we're juggling a lot. It's okay. I'm very blessed to be in this position. A lot of people want to, you know, get views and have a thing on the internet. I got that. You know, in some ways we've already won, but it's not good enough for me. I want it to grow. I want it to be better. I want to provide more value and do more for the community. So, you know, we're working on it, man. We're working on it. And Unity is so cool. I mean, I feel so bad because it's been so long, but that spark, that thing that got people to fund it, the vision people saw where they were like, wow, this actually looks cool. And then after we released the chapters and people were like, wow, like Josh can actually write. All of that was real. It's still real. It's something I want to manifest. It's something I want to bring into the world. I want nothing more than to have my own shit out there that I think is good, because there's so much stuff out there that I don't think is good, and there's so much that I think fans aren't fucking with, and you know, all of that sort of stuff. So like I really need to get that shit done. And once that's done, and once that's on track, and you know, then we can look into some other things, because there's a benefit to having a physical comic store even when I have my own actual comic. You know, so yeah. Don't let victory defeat you. Exactly. Josh, about the UFO stuff, they need to release color or more detailed video. The black and gray videos are stuff we've been getting since the early 2000s. Yeah, you know, you got to wonder what kind of stuff they have available. I will say that some of the stuff is a little shocking to me. Like, there's color photos from... It was some kind of either NASA satellite or shuttle, and they literally just have a full color picture of some massive triangle ship that's just like floating away from Earth. I thought that one was pretty cool, but like, I guess, like, you know, for me, it's like, that's really cool, but I already thought the triangle shit was real. And in fact, a lot of the stuff they released in batch 2 or 3 talks about like actual eyewitness accounts and investigations into these triangle UFOs. So like, it's doing nothing for me other than, I guess, like, oh yeah, that thing I thought was real is real. It does make you wonder, do they have a sort of silver bullet ace in the whole thing? Are they holding on to that? What is the strategy here with this piecemealing? Because the piecemealing would seem to be there almost so that it operates underneath the surface. Because, like, think about it. What's the opposite of piecemeal? The opposite of piecemeal would be like, here's all the shit that's going to destroy what you think you know. You know what I mean? And we're getting the exact opposite of that. So it's like, okay, are they trying to release the truth while also trying to make as little change and impact to how society is going? That's kind of what it feels like. It feels like they might be obligated to tell the truth, but they're trying to tell the truth in such a way that most people will just kind of go like, yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, there's that meme of like, bro, aliens are real. And then people are like, dude, gas is $5 a gallon. I don't care. You know? I don't fully understand it. I've got a lot of questions about it all myself. What if any actual UFO footage is included in Disclosure Day? Yeah, some of the videos from Disclosure Day were literally in some of these tranche files. And there were several in the Sleeping Dogs documentary as well. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm doing a lot of personal study and journey. There's stuff that I'm not even telling you guys about. Maybe eventually I'll tell you guys about. But I'm kind of doing my own journey into discovering the truth. And whatever the government's doing is just certainly not satisfying my personal curiosities. And I don't know. It just feels very strange the way they're doing it. Yeah. Aliens can't fix this economy? Yeah. I mean, probably not. Yeah, probably not. Mm-hmm. All right, everybody. Well, much love. I appreciate you guys. Are you still making a channel? Yeah, I am, but it's sort of slow going, I got to get these other editors in place, and, we're working on stuff, but that channel is low on the totem pole for now. The information is not low on the totem pole, and I would argue I'm actually spending an incredible amount of time each day, each week, as much as I can, in my own journey, But that doesn't mean that it all needs to be documented and put out immediately. Some of the stuff I'm trying to well, what do I even think about this? How do I feel about this? And I'm trying to find the right words. Is some of it too much to say? Is some of it too controversial? There's a lot of questions. And I'll also say too, I'll leave you with this idea, or this statement, but the reaction that I've seen from people in talking about it has also been somewhat of a red flag, in that for whatever reason, it's really triggering for a lot of folks. For whatever reason, people just getting really triggered by it. Even the idea that it could be real is triggering. The idea that it could recontextualize what religions are is really triggering. The idea that it might make us understand that humans are not even close to the top of the food chain, and that might actually be an actual food chain that we're talking about. I mean, yeah, some of the stuff's unsettling. Some people just really don't like it, and yeah, I don't know. It's just not. It's just not a nice. It's not for me, when I just read about this shit, or I'm actually doing my own journey, or my self-discovery, or meditating, or whatever. It's beautiful. It's awesome. But the moment I go to share it, and I've shared it not just with some of you guys a little bit, but even my own family. I don't know. I don't like hearing food chain like that. Yeah, it is a little unsettling, isn't it? Yeah. So just taking my time with it, trying to find the right words, trying to think about what it really means to me. So yeah, that's just the explanation. What are the chances that the only thing out there in the cosmos is us? I'd say pretty low. I'd say pretty low, but whatever. Who knows? Are there dinosaurs? Are they gonna eat us? I don't know. Do we deserve to be eaten by dinosaurs? Does anything eaten by a dinosaur deserve to be eaten by it? What does deserve even mean? All right, anyways, much love. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. It's a good week of streams, man. It was fun. I'm feeling good today. I'm going to try to keep the vibe strong, man, because, dude, next couple of weeks are going to be crazy. We're getting very close to some fun Marvel stuff. It's time. Oh, I'm excited. So let's do it, man. Let's have a great July, and let's have a great rest of the year as we get into more and more nerdy things. Appreciate y'all. Much love. And as I always say, I hope you, that's right, you, are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Hey, just in, Joe Russo will reportedly generate the Avengers Doomsday trailer live on stage using cloud for San Diego Comic-Con. That's crazy. See, you guys are all anti-AI. I think that's amazing. I think that's amazing. He's going to generate it right then and there. I wonder what the prompt will say. Yeah, get with the program, Grandpa. Yeah. Well, I hope you guys have a good rest of the day. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you tomorrow at 11 for the Avengers Deep Dive. That's going to be juicy. And otherwise, we'll be back at it next week for a full week of Nerdvention. Just 2 weeks till San Diego Comic-Con. Oh, my God. I'm excited. I hope you're excited, too. So thank you again for being here. Thanks for all the love, the support this week. Get on out here. Go enjoy the rest of your day. Do me a favor. Actually make it 2. The first thing you gotta do is open up your third eye. And the second thing you gotta do is wash out your stinky butt. Oh. Okay, see ya.